All right. In this video, we're going to see Rep. Jasmine Crockett expose the Texas GOP's authoritarian tactics against a political opponent. Let's watch the full clip, and then I'll give you my thoughts at the end.
It's becoming clear the Trump administration has calculated a plan to get rid of its Jeffrey Epstein problem, which erupted into a MAGA world civil war after the White House backtracked on its promise to release the Epstein files that are in the possession of the Department of Justice. Now, the administration has been doing everything it can to change the subject, including, I would submit, most recently, the ongoing full-scale military crackdown against our fellow Americans who reside in the nation's capital. But Donald Trump's Epstein problem hasn't actually gone away. A lot of people still want to know what exactly is in the files that DOJ is so reluctant to release. Now, it's possible we might start to get some answers after Friday, although there's a big asterisk. That's when the DOJ hands over the first tranche of redacted files in response to a House Oversight Committee subpoena. That's Shane Comer, the chair of that. He's a Republican. A spokesperson for the committee says the committee will review the files and release them to the public. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, Democrat of Texas, serves on that oversight committee, and she joins me now. Congresswoman, it's good to have you. I want to read what Robert Garcia, who's a ranking member on that committee, had to say. He said, releasing the Epstein files in batches just continues this White House cover-up. The American people will not accept anything short of the full, unredacted Epstein files. Do you agree with Congressman Garcia?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, transparency is what the people are asking for. And anything that it seems like you are trying to filter out will only bring about more questions and concerns. I think right now the president knows that he really got himself into a pickle. This is something that he campaigned on, and ultimately is something that he didn't deliver on, which frankly, that is what Trump is known for doing. But for whatever reason, this has been one of those sticking points for his base, and he has tried to distract and destroy communities, as you're talking about D.C., in order to get people to focus on something other than the Epstein files. But the people are zoned in and wanting to know what is in them.
I mean, how is this process going to work? I guess I just feel like, so DOJ is going to give Comer some files, and Comer says that William Barr has already testified to the fact that he didn't see Donald Trump, he had no reason to believe Donald Trump committed a crime, which is like, okay. Who's going to do this? Is it committee staff, and is it going to be bipartisan staff? Like, are Democrats going to have any involvement, or this is just like James Comer gets to kind of choose as he likes to?
No, we absolutely should be demanding to be a part of this. Let's not forget that the Republicans wanted to send us home so that they could avoid any questions around even subpoenaing any documents, let alone the entirety of the Epstein files. And it was the representative out of Pennsylvania, Summer Lee, who is the ranking member for a subcommittee on oversight, who then initiated this process when they thought, you know what, we're in the clear. We recessed. And Summer said, not so fast. And so she was able to get the subpoena done in a bipartisan way. I will say that the chairman really did drag his feet and took his time in crafting that subpoena. But we finally did get the subpoena out, and we know that those documents are due to us. I am waiting on the list of excuses that the DOJ has for why they can't turn in the entirety of the file on time. I am waiting on it. I am anticipating it. But I think that right now, the Republicans are the ones that are struggling because, again, this was their campaign promise. Democrats were out there campaigning on things such as the economy and education and housing. And, well, we were trying to give the American people something that would better their lives. But seemingly the Republicans were zoned in on the Epstein files. And right now, we know that the Republicans have torn the economy apart. So the one thing they need to do to hopefully hold on to some semblance of their base is to give them some assurances that they are finding out who was involved with Epstein.
I want to ask you about something happening in your home state of Texas. You were a state legislator in Texas before you came to Congress. We've all been following the story of the extremely rare, abnormal, pure, nakedly partisan attempt to redistrict mid-decade just to jack up the numbers for Republicans, to make it more difficult for the American people to essentially choose their own representatives instead of have the representatives choose their people. Democratic members of the state legislature have broken quorum to try to slow this down. There's one member now, Nicole Collier, who is essentially kind of locked inside the state capitol right now. They usually see her sleeping because she wouldn't sign a permission slip that they made her. Have you been? What do you think about what's going on in your old place of work?
Yeah, again, we're living in a country of lawlessness. This is unconstitutional. This is someone who has not been accused of a crime whatsoever. In fact, just the opposite. I mean, there are definitely people that needed to be locked up in the state of Texas, starting with our attorney general, who had been under federal investigation for a number of years, who had been under felony indictment for a number of years, who was impeached by his own party. Yeah, yet he never saw any lockup come to him. And obviously, you know how I feel about the president and where he should be right now. But instead, it is a lawmaker who had the audacity to speak up for her constituency and, frankly, speak up for the Constitution and the rule of law overall. And they decided that because they were not being good little Democrats and doing as they were told, that once those warrants expired, most people didn't understand that the warrants that they issued, the civil warrants, are only good during the session in which they are issued. Well, once that session ended, which it ended, that meant that there was now not a warrant. So now what they said is you must voluntarily sign a permission slip for people to track you so that you come to work and don't leave again in order to ring the alarm on what's happening. So my former colleague, Nicole Collier, said, I'm not doing it. I'm not signing it. And they said, well, then we will break the law and we will unlawfully detain you here at the Capitol.
I should note that your former colleague has filed a habeas petition because she basically says she's essentially being imprisoned by the Texas state legislator at this point, government.
That is, yeah, that's an absolute proper thing to file. You file a writ of habeas when there is someone who is a government actor and has illegal custody over your body, and they then have to come and say, this is why we're able to detain you. They are violating her civil rights. Like, there is no question about it. We don't have anything that is available that allows you to restrict a person's freedom from moving about because they failed to sign this bootleg made up permission slip for somebody to then stalk you and be around you 24/7.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who did serve in that Texas Capitol for a number of years. Thank you so much for your time.
This is what I mean when I say the mask is completely off. I mean the sheer audacity to invent a bootleg permission slip. You know, that sounds like a tactic from a controlling, abusive partner, something completely outside the bounds of legitimate governance. It's so obviously an intimidation tactic, right? They're not even trying to hide it. The goal here is pure humiliation. The whole point is to put political opponents in a position where they're treated like they're out on parole, constantly monitored. The document itself is meaningless from a legal standpoint, which they know. Its only purpose is to serve as this made-up justification for punishment if you refuse to submit to their control. And that's the whole game. It's a power play, plain and simple. They want to create a situation where standing up for your rights in the Constitution is framed as being, what, uncooperative? It's a loyalty test. The act of refusing to sign is a literal defense of your basic freedoms from a party that clearly sees those freedoms as an inconvenience. Then you get to the part that is just genuinely chilling. The moment she refuses to play their stupid game, they don't have a backup plan. They don't have a legal argument. They just resort to brute force. We will break the law and detain you. They said the quiet part out loud. At that point, we've left the realm of politics entirely. We've entered the territory of pure tyranny. They openly admitted that the rule of law means nothing to them when it gets in the way of what they want. It's a complete abandonment of any democratic pretense. It's just, we have the power, so we will do what we want, and the law can go hang. Honestly, calling it an unlawful detention feels way too sanitized. It's kidnapping. The state government, using its authority, is kidnapping a political opponent for political dissent. That's the kind of stuff you read about in history books about failed states. And the hypocrisy, my God, the hypocrisy is just breathtaking. You have the state's top law enforcement officer, the attorney general, who is under federal investigation, indicted and impeached by his own party for actual alleged crimes, and he just, gets a slap on the wrist? Nothing happens. He walks around free, but a black woman, a Democratic lawmaker, who has been accused of absolutely no crime whatsoever, is physically imprisoned. She's locked up for having the audacity to use a legitimate political tool to protest a nakedly partisan power grab. It just lays the whole fraud bare, doesn't it? Their whole law and order shtick is a complete and utter sham. For them, it's a club they use to beat their enemies with. The law only matters when it can be twisted to punish people they don't like. When it comes to holding their own accountable, suddenly it's all about due process and, letting the system work, whatever that means. This is why people are so cynical. You see this blatant two-tiered system of justice playing out in real time. They'll protect their own corrupt officials to the bitter end, but they will manufacture a crisis to justify imprisoning a political opponent who dared to stand in their way. It's a level of brazen corruption and authoritarianism that is genuinely shocking. This goes so far beyond some abstract political fight. What we're seeing is a direct assault on the very foundations of a functioning democracy, and they're not even trying to hide it anymore. They're proud of it. This whole episode is a perfect snapshot of the modern GOP. Power is the only thing that matters. The rules are for other people, and if you stand up to them, they will use any means necessary, legal or not, to crush you. It's that simple. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. While you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.